here because we have the Westerly Estates neighborhood was built in next to our properties, and some of the homes built their fence well beyond their property line. We have a field fence that in some areas is 20 feet back from the property line. And so the neighbors believed, and they said that their real estate agent told them their property goes to the field fence. And so they have built fences with the permission of St. Cloud City to our fence line, to the field fence. And it is well on our property. We have 2 fences with from that neighborhood and an above-ground swimming pool, and it's on our property. And so and there's vegetation. People have put trees right on the property. There's sprinkler systems. It is a problem. We've approached the neighborhood. We've given them letters. We explained the situation. Some of the neighbors are very upset, understandably, if they thought they had an extra 20 feet on those smaller lots. And we went to the city. The city said that it's a civil matter, which I don't believe it should be when you've signed off saying that it was done correctly. So we're asking you to help us enforce the code and get those fences and pool and stuff off our property.
Mr. Manzares?
I apologize. First, I've heard of it. I'm happy to take whatever information we can and look into it and talk to staff about how to pursue it. Typically, what happens with fence permits is the fence permit is granted, but the city code does not currently require a survey for a fence permit to address the actual location of the fence. So, I don't think from the legal perspective, the city's granting the permit gives those individuals the right to put the fence on somebody else's property.
Right.
And so, but we certainly can look into it and get with the deputy city manager, and we can figure out a course to try to help them out.
Thank you. Phil, check into that.
Lot grading and runoff. We originally approached the builder in 2019 as they were finishing some of the properties after a big storm, when we had runoff and flooding and washout onto our property, and said, can you please fix that? They said, oh, we'll take care of it. They finished up and left. We could never get a response. Eventually, we brought it back up with the city. We reached out to the builders, to the developer, and to the engineer on record, none of which would respond to us. Finally, we got one of the city engineer people to talk to us. Part of the issue is, as Jolie indicated, our field fence runs between 20 and 10 feet into our property. So their marker pins are way set back. A lot of the grading was done very sloppily because of that. In one instance, we've got 2 feet higher on our property because they assumed that 20 feet was something that they could grade on. Finally, the city engineer told us the bond has gone out. It is a civil matter between you and the homeowners. And we said, well, why is that a civil matter between a new homeowner and us when it was a problem created by a developer and builders and approved by you as a city? And they said, there's nothing we can do. So we hired our own survey crews, and we surveyed each of these backyards, about 10 to 15 homes that back up to our property. And what we found is if you mark the 4 corners, they're pretty close. But if you go anywhere else, the lots swell up higher by the home, and they drop down. And so we are getting runoff onto our property that we shouldn't. They should have been graded and A modified. And if you go and check the lots, there is a slight slope to our property. Now, if it was one home, that wouldn't be an issue. But when we've got 15 or more homes that have this issue, then we're concerned. It's unfortunate that we started out saying, hey, what can we do to work through this with you? And we've gotten, sorry, there's nothing we can do. And in fact, the Water Management District said, well, we're going to go off of what the engineer has said. We don't care necessarily that you've come. with 20 points on each of these lots showing that it is graded poorly, we have one document versus the other, and we'll go off of the document that the engineer has given us. So as a homeowner, we have come to you as a city and our neighbor, because we are county property, to help us hopefully resolve this issue.
All right. You add that to your list and get with Mr. Edwards and see if this might be something he could help us with.
I think Mr. Edwards is giving out some information.
I believe
about
he's
how we may-
back there now. If you
Thank you.
speak to Mr. Edwards. I can't imagine how frustrating all of this must be for you guys.
So frustrating.
I grew up here in St. Cloud. I grew up in Narcoossee. I remember the dirt roads and all that, which wasn't long ago. I recently started a company over here at the lakefront where I do sunset cruises and some daytime runs and some nighttime parties. We run, at this current time, one of the larger boats on the lake. It's a 40-foot pontoon boat, and we've gotten a lot of really awesome response from the community. One thing we weren't expecting was the massive drawdown of the lake made it a little inaccessible for me to get to my personal dock with the boat lately. I've been working with Ms. Holtkamp for about a year now. We've been trying to get permitting and something to push through to be able to park the commercial boat at the marina. Currently, there isn't a slip big enough, but the waters on the backside of the marina are not governed by the city. So here lately, I haven't had much of a choice but to park in the weeds behind the marina. And recently, somebody had said, hey, please do not do so. So we're just anchoring offshore down the waterway, unfortunately. My question and my hope from you guys would be, can we push through something to be able to dock this commercial boat at the marina for future use and also use some of the floating docks? Since the water level has gone down, I can no longer get the handy accessible folks on my boat. I cannot use my ramps anymore. My boat used to sit higher than the seawall. Now I'm sitting lower than the seawall. So I've had to turn down some of our locals and stuff of that nature. I'm so proud to be here in St. Cloud and to start a business. It's really cool and a terrifying feeling all at the same time. And it's really cool that we're doing something new and exciting to the town. I mean, it's pretty cool, and I'm stupid as it sounds, I'd like to see this on a phone book one day. I think it'd be cool, staple for St. Cloud, to see river boats back on our water. But I know we don't have commercial boats here. We haven't had them in quite some time, probably over 100 years. So I'm the first of its kind coming back into it, doing these cruises. And I was wanting to see what we could do to move forward together as a family and bring something cool back to St. Cloud and be able to get these handy-capable people on the boat and load and unload passengers safely without upsetting anybody, and being able to park the boat for future, whether this one or a future bigger boat. It'd be nice to see what we could do.
All right.
If I could ask Ms. Holtkamp if she has anything helpful to add or that we need the council to consider, or we can just go ahead and look to see what options we may have.
Oh, there you go. I didn't even see you back there.
So, I mean, there's a couple of options. Dan and I, we worked on a ordinance to allow for boat rental business via permit, but we're still working through that issue. I'm not sure allowing Captain Lawrence to park his boat there for commercial activity. If we allow him, we would have to allow everybody else before we got an ordinance and a permit in place, and we can work towards that. We can also put out an RFP or a bid for boat rentals. I mean, we've done that in the past, and we've never gotten anybody to respond. I mean, I'd be more than happy to put that back out and see what we get. Might be a quicker process if we do it that way.
Well, sounds like this is something you certainly need to sit down with staff and you guys need to take a look at, see if there are any options that are viable. And so if you could do that, we'd be grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just would like to state, so boat rentals are definitely indeed different than what we are doing. This is a captain's vessel with $1 million policy where somebody's renting a boat without a license and going out and doing what they do. So this would be a completely different subject.
All right. Well, we'll be looking to see if there's any way we can accommodate you on
Thank
that.
you, guys.